That's no bueno, of course. Welcome back to another episode of Gas Diesel Garage. My name is Jack, and I'm here to make sure you don't get screwed by the dealer. So stay tuned. Now today's episode is centered around this 2003 Honda Accord LX. And this alternator is not charging the battery. And this vehicle also doesn't have a battery light on that stays on in the dashboard, stating that it's got an alternator problem. It just died on the road one day. But we're gonna dive in and diagnose it. Well, when your dashboard does this, that battery must be really low. Now, to properly test the alternator, you need to have the vehicle running, or you can just go ahead and take the alternator off, take it to the dealer, or take it to AutoZone or CarQuest and get it bench test. But why go through all that trouble? Just get the car jumped and running and see what kind of voltage it's putting out. And if you have to charge the battery to get it started, just do so. Now that we got the jump box on it, let's go start it up. Alright, see that battery light right there? Usually that battery light stays on while you're driving when the alternator is not charging. Just FYI. Ooh. Well, it started, but like I said, usually you'll have that battery light stay on in the dashboard. Now let's go see if it's charging. Now, of course, because I don't have an on-site battery charger or another battery, what we're going to do is we're going to test the battery by using the jump box. The jump box is basically an external battery anyway, so let's see if we're getting the 14 volts like we need to make sure that the alternator is charged. Now, I did want to show you guys what the battery itself is reading without the vehicle on. So let's turn this thing to volts. Right, positive lead on the positive terminal, put the negative on the negative terminal. Okay, 8 volts. I hope you see it. 8 volts is not going to start this vehicle. More than likely, the cold cranking amps are pretty much gone. So let's hook the jump box on it and get it started again. Now, like I said earlier, jump box is only basically an external battery for your car that packs a lot of cranking amps in it. But I want to show you what the voltage looks like on the jump box before I put it on the vehicle, so you can get a sense of exactly how many volts are going into the this dead battery to get it started. So let's turn this thing to volts again. Put that on there. All right, as you can see, you see that 12 volts, 12.09. Now, the reason why I did that is because when I put this on the vehicle, it's going to read that, but that's not what the battery is saying. That's what the jump box is saying. for voltage. Now when I start it up, I want this thing to read 14 volts, 13.5, 14 volts. At least that'd be good in my eyes. So that's how you know an alternator is actually charging. Alright, now that I got it running again, to set my voltage meter to volts, of course. Put my lead on the negative here. Put my positive on the positive. Right. See how that's saying 11? You see 11.65? That's no bueno, of course. So now that's from the battery, but let's go another step further. Let's go to the alternator itself, which would be right down here. Move that a little bit because that runs directly to the battery. Let's see what we get in here. Oh, check that out, 11.69 volts. The same volts that the jump box is basically reading. So, in other words, that'll tell you we got a bad alternator, we need to replace it. Now, of course, this application does not have an alternator fuse. This alternator is controlled by the computer only. So if that thing's not putting out the proper amount of voltage, it's time to replace it. Now, anytime you're working with anything electrical, make sure you disconnect the negative lead on the battery. And if you feel even more secure, take the positive off. Just make sure you got your radio code for these Hondas, because the radio code, and I promise you guys, this alternator is probably going to be the easiest alternator you'll ever replace, because it's very simple. Pull this power steering fluid reservoir out of your way. Make sure you get your 14 millimeter on the tensioner. Yep. And pull towards you. Get the belt out of the way. There we go. No need to take it all the way off. Alright. Okay, now that we got that off, we can hit these 12 millimeter bolts. You got one right there, and then you got two on the bottom. And you can take the electrical plug out too if you like. Usually do that last, but unplug that. And of course your lead going to the battery, that's 10 millimeter also. Now that you got the 3 bolts out, the top and the 2 bottom, now all you got to do is just pull it on out. Now, of course, if you get this replaced at the dealer, they're going to charge you a good $300-400 just for the part. So do yourself a favor, grab one from Amazon. From Amazon, it's brand new. I got a brand new alternator. for basically less than $100. Brand new, not refurbished. Brand new, like I said. I know I keep saying that over and over with, but anyways, pick yourself up one. Link in the description below. Get it sent to the house. You have no problem. No sense in paying 4 times what this thing is worth. And check that out, brand new. There we go. Check that out. Now all I need to do is put it back in the vehicle. Now that we got the alternator installed, the next thing we need to do is we need to test it to see if this thing is even going to charge that battery. We're looking for 14 volts, so keep that in mind. Now, of course, because the battery is so low, we gotta use the jump box again to at least get it started.
Yeah.
Now that it's running, let's check for those 14 volts on the battery and on the alternator. Let's set it, volt. Check the alternator first. Alright, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for 14 volts. Now let's switch to the alternator. See if we're getting 14 volts. Check that out, 14 volts. I say this thing is fixed. Well, there we go. Alternator's putting out 14.6 volts, and that's pretty much ideal for these type of cars. So if you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.